Trying to make it in global trade, it can feel like you're sailing right into a storm. It's tough, it's unpredictable, and it's full of shocks. But what if you could build a better, more resilient ship? Well, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to dive into a strategic roadmap that's all about turning that risk into a real opportunity. It's called export diversification.
Okay, check out this number, $38.48 billion. That's a huge figure, right? It's how much Bangladesh brought in from just apparel exports in 2024. I mean, that's an incredible success story. It's literally the backbone of their whole economy. But, and there's always a but, hiding behind all that success, there's a really important question we've got to ask.
And this is really the heart of it. What happens when everything, all your success, is resting on just one thing? When you rely that heavily on just one industry, or for a business like yours maybe, one single product or one market, you're creating this huge hidden weakness. It's a massive gamble, really.
So that leads us right into something we can call the one-product trap. And listen, this isn't just a problem for entire countries, no way. It's a huge threat for any export-oriented business that has, put all its eggs in one basket.
And believe me, this is way more than just some small inconvenience. Just think about it for a sec. A sudden supply chain problem. Boom! New tariffs pop up out of nowhere. Or maybe something as simple as consumer tastes changing just a little bit. Any of those things could totally wreck a business that isn't diversified. For one of those clothing exporters we mentioned, it could be a sudden jump in cotton prices, or a new fashion trend that makes their best-selling item totally obsolete. Poof! Your main source of cash could just dry up, almost overnight. So, how do you escape that trap? It's simple, really. You build more pillars to stand on. And that brings us to the core idea we're unpacking here, export diversification. Think of it as your shield and your sword out there in the global market.
So let's really break this down. On one side, it's a defensive play, right? It helps you withstand shocks because you're spreading out your risk. But here's the cool part. It's also an offensive strategy. It puts you in a position to seize new opportunities, to find growth in places you might have never even thought to look.
Now, diversification isn't just one single thing. You can actually tackle it in four main ways. First, you've got your products. You could add new stuff or maybe create higher value versions of what you already sell. Then there's geographic diversification, basically finding new customers in new countries or regions. Third, you can diversify your channels. So instead of just one way of selling, you use a mix of distributors, e-commerce, maybe even selling directly to other businesses. And last but not least, and this one's a biggie, is diversifying your capabilities. This is all about upgrading your design, your branding, making yourself more competitive, period.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. Wow, this sounds like a ton of work. And you're not wrong, it is. But the payoff? It's absolutely huge. Let's take a look at the real, tangible benefits that make this whole strategy such a game changer.
I mean, this chart really says it all, doesn't it? Over on the left, you've got the concentrated exporter, always facing high risks, not much power when it comes to negotiating. But on the right, the diversified exporter. We're talking stable cash flow, better profit margins, but check out that bottom row, because this is key. A diversified exporter learns and upgrades faster. Why? Because when you enter new markets, you're forced to get better, to get stronger, to meet new standards. You just become so much more resilient. All right, so hopefully you're sold on why this is so important. Now let's switch gears to the how. Look, real diversification isn't just about, throwing a dart at a world map and hoping for the best. Nope, it's a structured process. And we've got a clear four-step playbook to show you how to do it. Step 1 is the export audit. This is where you have to be brutally honest with yourself about where your weak spots are. Step 2, opportunity selection. This is crucial. Use actual data, not just a hunch, to find the best fit new markets. Then step 3 is your market entry blueprint. This is your detailed game plan for how you're actually going to win in that new market. And finally, step 4, commercialization. This is about building real relationships and managing your sales pipeline like a pro. It's a whole system, not just a one-off sale. Now, let's be real. Going through this whole playbook, from digging into data to trying to build relationships in a completely new culture, that can get super complex super fast. And that's exactly where bringing in a guide, a real expert, can be the difference between success and, well, failure.
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. A true expert isn't someone who just hands you a fancy report and walks away. No, they're the ones who roll up their sleeves and actually help you get it done. They should be judged on one thing and one thing only: turning your strategy into actual, measurable export outcomes. It's all about results, not just a bunch of analysis. And you can see here how that expert support lines up perfectly with what you actually need. You need a strategy? Well, an expert can provide business consultancy to help you find the right markets. Need to build connections? They can do matchmaking, generate leads. Not quite ready online? They can help you build a professional website and digital marketing plan. And all that complicated paperwork and compliance? Yeah, they guide you through that too. Basically, they fill in all the gaps to make your global expansion a reality.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. We've talked about the serious risks of depending on just one thing. We've laid out the strategy to fix it, and we've even walked through the playbook for how to execute it. This whole thing, it's your roadmap to building a truly future-proof business. Look, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Export diversification is not just some nice-to-have ambition. It's an absolute strategic requirement if you want stable, long-term growth in this crazy, changing world. It's all about making a conscious choice to shift your business from being fragile and dependent to being strong and resilient.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to chew on for your own business or your own industry. In this huge, interconnected world we live in, what new market could be the one that unlocks your company's future? Which new product or new region holds that key? Because I promise you, the opportunities are out there for the taking.